The Scarlet Supreme God Shadow Lord is dead. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade said in a low voice. Zhou Fight looked at the Supreme God-level Black Dagger and could not help but reveal a smile. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade had taken down the strongest enemy, the Scarlet Supreme God Shadow Lord, which meant that the strongest methods of the three top bloodline factions were no longer effective. Their remaining trump cards were nothing more than some Supreme God-level treasures. For Zhou Fight, there was no need to worry. He had never been afraid of competing in the number of Supreme God treasures, which meant it was only a matter of time before he won this war. Your Excellency is mighty. Your Excellency is indeed the #1 God of Saber, Tao among the Supreme Gods. Seeing is better than hearing 100 times. I'm really impressed. Zhou Fight was overjoyed and kept saying good things to the other party as if they were free. This was the savior of the blazing sun divine kingdom. Wasn't she just saying something nice to he? As long as he could encounter such a big brother every time he encountered a crisis, Zhou Fight expressed that he could talk until the sea dried up. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade had been silently accepting Zhou Fight's praise. When Zhou Fight praised and rested, he took off all the Supreme Divine artifacts on him and was about to hand them to Zhou Fight. Zhou Fight was stunned. Good God, these were 6 Supreme Divine artifacts. The other party only had 1 Supreme God Divine artifact on him, and it was only a 2nd-grade Supreme God Divine artifact. He could actually take it off and return it to him without any reluctance. This would not do. This Supreme Divine artifact was still returned to him. How could he invite Big Brother over in the future? At the thought of this, Zhou Fight's expression turned solemn. Your Excellency Heavenly Blade, you saved our blazing sun divine kingdom from fire and water. Even though the 6 Supreme God Divine artifacts are precious, how can they compare to saving our lives? There's a saying in my hometown that a drop of water should be repaid with a spring. Please accept these 6 Supreme God Divine artifacts as a token of my appreciation. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade puppet was stunned. Even though he had a dull personality, it didn't mean that he didn't know what was good. These were 6 Supreme God Divine artifacts. Every Supreme God Divine artifact was enough to make countless Supreme Gods go crazy. The appearance of 6 Supreme God Divine artifacts at the same time was enough to cause a bloody battle between the Supreme Gods. The enhancement of 6 Supreme God Divine artifacts on a Supreme God's combat strength was too terrifying after all. He was a Grade 3 Supreme God realm who could at most defeat a Grade 4 Supreme God and not kill. 1. With the enhancement of the 6 Supreme God Divine artifacts, killing a top Grade 4 Supreme God, like the Scarlet Supreme God Shadow Lord, was like killing a dog. If the other Supreme Gods in the outside world knew about this, they would definitely shout that it was ridiculous. This Lord of all races was clearly aware that he had also seen the value of the 6 Supreme God Divine artifacts, but he was still willing to give them all to him at that time. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade puppet even felt that the other party was joking with him. However, he looked at the other party's serious expression and knew that what he said was true. The other party was really willing to give him these 6 Supreme God Divine artifacts. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade puppet did not speak, but he secretly clicked his tongue. This existence that had summoned he was generous enough, as expected of the Lord of all races reserve army that the Supreme will personally chose and had high hopes for Dai Ti was indeed not something other Lord of all races reserves could compare to. He had lived for countless years and had directly or indirectly come into contact with the reserve army of other lords of all races. He dared to guarantee that at least in terms of generosity, the 3 lords of all races would definitely not be so generous as to give he 6 Supreme Divine artifacts. Even if he had saved them and their faction, it wasn't that he didn't want to, but he didn't have the ability to know, right? The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade thought for a moment and then cut open a spatial passageway. He threw the 6 Supreme Divine artifacts into the spatial passageway and restored it. I'll remember what you gave me. This is for you. I don't need it. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade said. Then, he threw the black dagger of the Scarlet Supreme God Shadow Lord to Zhou Fight. The black dagger was cold to the touch, but it was surprisingly smooth. Zhou Fight looked at the black dagger and a text notification quickly appeared. Divine artifact name, Divine Dagger, Divine Artifact Grade, Grade 4 Supreme Divine Artifact, Divine Artifact Law 1. The Divine Dagger was born from drinking divine blood. Every time the Divine Dagger is used to kill a Grade 4 Supreme God, the Divine Dagger will immediately obtain a layer of divine power. Every layer of divine power can increase the power of the Divine Dagger. Accumulate 10,000%. Divine Artifact. Law 2. Demon Slaying Body. The Divine Dagger is the supreme divine Lord Law of instant death. It can command the power of instant death in the heavens. When the controller uses the Divine Dagger, his attack will obtain a 20% chance of instant death. At the same time, he will be immune to the instant death effects of supreme gods and below. Divine Artifact Law 3. God-slaying and demon-destroying slash. Exhaust 10 levels of God-slaying power and release a stunning blow with instant death attribute to the enemy. After attacking the enemy, there is a 50% chance that the enemy will die immediately. Divine Artifact Law 4. God-slaying Dagger. The God-slaying Dagger is a sacred artifact of the law of the Lord of Death. The owner can enter it with his will and comprehend the mysteries of the laws and will. Prompt. Requires willpower to recognize a master. After reading it, Zhou Fight gasped. Top grade Grade 4 Supreme Divine Artifact. Moreover, it's a Supreme Divine Artifact that has a chance of advancing to a Grade 1 Sacred Artifact in the future. Zhou Fight looked at the Grade 4 Supreme Divine Artifact in his hand in shock. Needless to say about the God-slaying and demon-destroying slash, it was the ability of a Supreme Divine Artifact to advance to a will holy artifact. The god's demon body was also very strong. Not only could he obtain a 20% chance of instant death, he could also be immune to the instant death effect of supreme gods and below. Just the ability behind it was enough for Zhou Zhou and his clones to carry this Grade 4 Supreme Divine Artifact every day to protect their lives. The third Divine Artifact Law, God-slaying and demon-destroying slash, was even more ridiculous. With one slash, there was a 50% chance of survival and a 50% chance of death. Was the opponent afraid of such an unreasonable attack mechanism? However, the price of 10 levels of Divine Dagger made every opportunity to use this move precious. Currently, the Divine Dagger with only 16 levels of God-slaying and demon-destroying slash could only be used once. If Zhou Fight wanted to use him, he had to consider if it was worth it and if there was a need to use it.as for the fourth ability. It allowed the owner of the Supreme Divine Artifact to have the chance to comprehend the Lord's law of instant death, Supreme God level. All four abilities were top-notch. Are you sure you don't want to keep this Supreme Divine Artifact? Zhou Fight was curious about the Supreme God. The Divine Artifact is very good, but it doesn't match my path. I don't need the so-called instant death to kill the enemy with my saber. The Supreme Divine Artifact you gave me is enough. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade said. Zhou Fight blinked. This Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade's personality is really unique. But I like it, perhaps only with such a personality. Could he focus on cultivating the law of sword to this extent? My time is up. The Lord of all races reserve army. We will definitely meet again when we have the chance. The Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade said. Then, his entire divine body suddenly collapsed and disappeared. When Zhou Fight saw this, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Even though he had lost this top-notch trump card, Zhou Fight did not feel that it was a loss. Instead, he felt that it was very profitable. Super profitable. Not only was he on good terms with this top supreme god, more importantly, he turned to look at the battlefield that was already showing signs of victory and said with a faint smile, "It's time for this war to end." 3 hours later, under the siege of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom's army, the original Spirit Race's army, the Shepherd's God Race's army, and more than 6,000 elite subsidiary races. The Chaos Gods Race's army and its subsidiary races were almost completely wiped out. Even the Heaven Curse Beast had been killed 3 times by the combined forces of Origin and Di Huan. However, because the other party's constitution was special, even with the methods of the 2 top Master God tiers, they were not completely killed. Instead, not long after they were killed, the Heaven Curse Beast immediately revived. The heaven-cursed beast was very arrogant. It said that Origin and Di Huang were just SOSO, and their expressions were relaxed and casual. Even when the Chaos God's race's army was on the verge of destruction, he still looked unconcerned. The Origin and Heaven-Cursed Beast's expressions were gloomy, but they could not do anything to the other party's immortal body. The two of them believed that their strength was not inferior to the Heaven-Cursed Beast at all. However, the other party's immortal body was indeed disgusting. This situation lasted until Zhou Fight appeared in front of the other party. Origin and Di Huang were in disbelief. The Heaven-Cursed Beast went crazy. "Why aren't you dead yet?" The Heaven-Cursed Beast said crazily. They had paid such a huge price to invite the top supreme god who was good at assassination. He really could not figure out why this human lord was still alive. If this human lord was still alive, wouldn't their plot become a joke? Especially the Heaven-Cursed Beast. He had sworn to kill this lord of all races reserve army to create trouble for the supreme will. Great. The lord of all races is alive and well. He had become a clown in the eyes of the supreme will. Why isn't this emperor dead? Zhou Fight played with the divine dagger in his hand and looked at the Heaven-Cursed Beast with a faint smile. Naturally, it's because the so-called top assassin god that you guys found was killed by this emperor's subordinates. Do you see the divine dagger in my hand? Does it look familiar? Even though the supreme god of the heavenly blade was not Zhou Fight's subordinate, his puppet was Zhou Zhou's possession, so it was not a big deal to say that the other party was his subordinate. He was just a one-time subordinate. The Heaven-Cursed Beast stared at the divine dagger in Zhou Fight's hand at a SA Grade 4 supreme god that he had personally invited. He naturally knew what this black dagger was. The SA Grade 4 supreme god that he had personally invited. He naturally knew what this black dagger was. Now, it had actually fallen into the hands of the other party. Could it really be, as the other party had said, that his subordinates had killed that lord? Thinking of how the supreme god of the heavenly blade puppet wore 6 supreme divine artifacts, the Heaven-Cursed Beast felt that it was indeed possible for that lord to be killed. When the Heaven-Cursed Beast thought of this, it immediately fell silent. In the next second, he suddenly passed through Origin and Di Huang and turned into a white stream of light, charging towards Zhou Fight. "I want you dead," he shouted furiously. However, in the next second, swoosh, 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 3 blades of will that were emitting white light, as if they were tangible, had unknowingly floated above the Heaven-Cursed Beast's head. The blade of will that emitted the aura of the will divine transformation realm made the Heaven-Cursed Beast not dare to move. Origin and Di Huang looked at Zhou Fight from behind and widened their eyes in shock. The will divine transformation realm? This lord of all races reserve was clearly not even a master god, but his will had already broken through the will-like light realm and reached the will divine transformation realm that they dreamed of? Didn't this mean that becoming a supreme god in the future was not difficult for this lord of all races? Didn't this mean that becoming a supreme god in the future was not difficult for this lord of all races? Origin and Di Huang looked at each other and saw the bitterness on each other's faces. Oh, this is the lord of all races that the supreme will had high hopes for. TM impressed. At this moment, they were truly convinced. Only he is qualified to be the reserve army of the lord of all races. No one can replace him. Origin said with a complicated tone. Di Huang nodded silently. At this moment, the two gods had no objections to this lord of the blazing sun becoming the lord of all races reserve army. On the other side, Zhou Fight looked at the Heaven-Cursed Beast coldly. "You seem to have a lot to say about me and the supreme will. Why? Why?" The Heaven-Cursed Beast looked at Zhou Fight and laughed hysterically. "You're asking me why? I've been imprisoned in the endless chaos sea by the supreme will for countless years. Ever since I was born, I've never left the chaos sea. To the supreme will, I'm just a slave. No, not just slaves. He is still doing all sorts of experiments on me, torturing me without sleep or rest. I'm still a test subject without dignity. Even though I'm a top master god, I'm not as free and happy as the ordinary life forms in the myriad worlds. Can I have a problem with the supreme will? Let's not talk about you. Even if the supreme will were to come personally, I would do it without hesitation at all costs. I can't wait for the supreme will to die. Zhou Fight narrowed his eyes and sneered. You think you can do something to the Supreme? Will, don't make me laugh. Not only can you not even kill the Supreme Will, you can't even do anything to me, a true God-tier advanced grade God spirit. You even gave me a top-notch supreme divine artifact for nothing. Thank you. When the heaven-cursed beast heard this, its vision turned black. Why was this lord of all races not only lucky, but he also had such a bad mouth? Zhou Fight did not care what the other party was thinking. His gaze landed on Origin and Di Huang, who were not far away. Origin and Di Huang looked at each other and finally came to Zhou Zhou with nervous expressions. Greetings, Lord of all races. The two god spirits said nervously. After the other party revealed the will divine transformation realm, the two of them felt that they already had any right to be arrogant in front of the other party. If this Lord of all races was willing, he could easily kill the two of them with 2 blades of will. What top 10 master gods? They did not even dare to raise their heads in front of the will divine transformation realm will blade. Therefore, their attitude was very humble. Now, I wouldn't dare to accept that title. Zhou Fight smiled and said, this emperor has never heard of a race that would dare to take the risk of offending the supreme will and take the initiative to attack and harm the Lord of all races. Reserve army. This emperor's reserve army as the Lord of all races must be real. Origin and Di Huang panicked. My lord, previously, we were bewitched by the heaven-cursed beast and made such a stupid decision. You are the reserve army of the Lord of all races, and we are the direct line of descent of the supreme will. If not for the bewitchment of the heaven-cursed beast, why would we make a mistake to deal with you? And now we've come to our senses. Sir, take a look. After recognizing the heaven-cursed beast's scheme, we have already ordered our army and the elite subsidiary race army to counterattack the heaven-cursed beast's Chaos God army. The Chaos God's race has been completely defeated. Everything that belongs to the chaotic gods should belong to you, my lord. Di Huang hurriedly said respectfully. Origin echoed from the side that at this moment, they had completely lost their former arrogance and dignity. Far away in the divine kingdom world, Zhou Zhou looked at the 2 top-notch master god tiers who were extremely respectful to his clones through Zhou Fight's perspective. He sighed inwardly. There was a time when he first heard the names of the 2 top bloodline factions of the original spirit race and the Chaos Gods race. He felt that these 2 top bloodline factions were extremely distant targets. They were targets to chase after and terrifying opponents that he could not contend against. Now, the patriarchs of these 2 top bloodline factions were bowing down to him and wagging their tails at him. The patriarch of the other top-notch bloodline race was already trembling under the blade of his will, not daring to resist. I'm not who I used to be, but RM still the old me. Zhou Zhou had a smile on his face. Then, he continued to observe Zhou Fight's perspective at the same time. Zhou Fight calmly said after hearing Di Huang's words, the Chaos God's race was defeated by this emperor. Everything they have is mine to begin with. Yes, I was wrong. Di Huang hurriedly said. One heard that your majesty has the chaos human bloodline. You are so right. This chaos sea was originally the territory of the chaos human race. It was just that it was snatched away by the chaos god's race. Now that his majesty has descended here again and defeated the chaos god's race, it's time to return it to its rightful owner. The remaining Chaos God's race members should be your majesty's slaves. Origin agreed and even kindly suggested. To Zhou Fight, when the heaven-cursed beast, which was controlled by the 3 will blades, heard that the 3 gods had decided the ownership of the Chaos Sea and the future of the Chaos God's race with just a few words, its face immediately turned red, and its eyes were filled with anger. But he didn't dare to say, nor could he say anything. The victor is a noble, and the loser is a bandit. This has been the ancient truth. He had long understood this principle. However, in the past, they had always been the victors. Now, it was finally his turn to be reduced to a loser and pay the price that on the other side. Zhou Fight turned around and looked at the battlefield. After destroying the Chaos God's race and their elite subsidiary races, the battlefield gradually returned to calm, especially when they saw how respectful their patriarch was to the God Lord of the blazing sun divine kingdom. The army of the original spirit race and the Mu God race did not know how to face the army of the blazing sun divine. Kingdom that had just been an enemy. The die is cast. This war is finally over. Zhou Fight finally heaved a sigh of relief. He was no longer worried on the high continent. Next, he could focus on developing in the ultimate void battleground. Zhou Fight thought. Then, he thought of his main body, who was comfortably watching the show in the Divine Kingdom world. His face immediately darkened. Our main body has really unleashed our Tao to the extreme. He's at the early stage of right for supremacy of the Lord of all races. At the very least, he has accompanied the army to battle a few times. Ever since I had the clone technique, I stopped following the army and handling government affairs. I sat in the reincarnation sacred palace every day and completed my daily mission. This personality. After Zhou Fight lost his temper for a while, he suddenly laughed. It was good that his main body was like this. His clones were truly safe only if his main body was safe. His main body could be revived by consuming his origin even if the clones died. However, if the main bodies died, the clones would all be finished. Then, he began to think about how to deal with origin and Dihuang. Just as he had some thoughts, in the sky above the chaos sea, a boundless pure white light suddenly appeared out of thin air and quickly condensed into a pure white EYE.IT was the Supreme Eye. Zhou Fight was stunned. He said respectfully with a calm expression, "Greetings, Supreme Will." "Greetings, Supreme Will." A deep fear appeared on Origin and Di Huang's faces. They immediately knelt on the ground and said in panic. However, Supreme I did not look at the two criminals. Instead, it looked at Zhou Fight. He looked at Zhou Fight. It was as if he could see Zhou Zhou observing them from his eyes. Far away in the Divine Kingdom world, Zhou Zhou stood up helplessly and said respectfully, "Greetings, Lord Supreme Will. You seem dissatisfied?" The Supreme Eye in the Chaos Sea said, "I wouldn't dare to be." Zhou Zhou, who was in the Divine Kingdom world, smiled and said, "It's just that this war was thrilling enough. I didn't expect these guys to actually invite a grade 4 Supreme God, and a top-notch grade 4 Supreme God at that. If I didn't have a trump card, I would have died easily. That won't happen." The Supreme Eye said that Scarlet Supreme God Shadow Lord won't be your match with your trump cards and all your methods. It's a pity that I didn't see your full combat strength. That's the trial scene I wanted to see. As a lord, fighting and killing at the front of the battlefield is not what I think a lord should look like. Zhou Zhou shook his head, disagreeing with the Supreme Will. You have a point. Every lord has a path that every lord has to walk. Just like how the Lord's law will create more than 10,000 supreme gods with different paths, you should also have a path. That belongs to the Lord you want to walk. It's not bad that you have such an idea and dare to use it to refute my suggestion. As expected of the Lord of all races reserve army that I personally chose. When the Supreme I heard Zhou Zhou's rebuttal, not only did it not hate him, it even became more satisfied. I knew about this matter the entire time, but I didn't make a move. I wanted to use this matter as an experience for you to prove yourself. You've just become a Lord of all races reserve army. Be it the 3 other Lord of all races reserve armies or the will existences beside me, most of them want to see your ability and see if you're qualified to sit in this position. They have seen your performance today. After today, the doubts about you becoming a Lord of all races reserve army will be reduced by more than half. You're doing great. I can give you 2 rewards. The Supreme I said. Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up. What's the reward? He immediately asked impatiently. The first reward is that you're about to head to the ultimate void battleground. I can make the decision to double the number of gods you can bring with you. Don't think that this number is very small. The ultimate void battlefield was actually created by the ultimate void race. Even I can't send too many local god spirits into the ultimate void battlefield. I'll also need to spend a lot of effort to double the number of divine subordinates you have. The Supreme Will said. Zhou Fight pondered for a second and asked, "Does the ultimate void race have existences like you and the Crimson Overlord?" Yes. That guy claims to be the Void Emperor. The Void Emperor is inferior to Crimson Overlord and me in terms of strength. However, the Void Emperor is good at void techniques. The entire void is the domain and battlefield that he is most familiar with. His life preservation ability is extremely strong. As for Crimson Overlord and I, because we have to guard the Supreme Great Cosmos and the Crimson Great Cosmos, we can't leave the Great Cosmos for too long. Therefore, it's very difficult to completely destroy the Void Emperor. As a result, this fellow has been harassing my and Crimson Overlord's Great Cosmos. He has grown into a scourge that we have to guard against now. However, you don't have to be too afraid of him. Crimson Overlord and I have clones guarding the ultimate Void Battleground. The other party and his willpower level subordinates won't dare to attack you. If they dare to attack, don't blame us for bullying the weak. As for existences below the Supreme God level, the Supreme Eye's tone revealed a smile. It's up to you. The comers of Zhou Zhou's mouth twitched. My Heavenly Blade Supreme God puppet has been used up. Use your lucky star more. The Supreme Eye said, this race's divine artifact is a little lacking in other aspects, but the probability of it dropping a puppet is still quite high. Zhou Zhou, I was wondering why this lucky star kept popping up puppets.so. This was its obscure attribute. As for the second reward, one can upgrade any of your Lord talents to the Supreme God unique level. Tell me about it. Which Lord talent do you want to upgrade to a Supreme One Lord talent? The Supreme Eye said. Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up that it was actually this reward. He liked it. Then he began to think, which Lord's innate ability was better? The first thing that he thought of was the mythical tier Lord talent, the Scarlet Broodmother. This Lord talent provided him with a huge team. During his rise, the help this Lord talent provided him was definitely not inferior to Heavenly Fate Di Huang's Lord talent. However, he was going to the ultimate Void Battleground next. Raising this Lord talent was not very meaningful to his trip to the ultimate Void Battleground, and his influence in the High Continent was already enough to call himself invincible in the heavens if he continued to increase the number of his troops. To be honest, the effect would naturally be there, but it did not seem to be very meaningful. Then what should he upgrade? Zhou Zhou opened his Lord talent list and glanced at all the Lord talents he currently had. Finally, his gaze landed on a familiar Lord talent, mythical to unique Lord talent 10,000 Spirit Saint. This Lord talent, Zhou muttered to himself. During this period of time, one of the Lord talents he relied on the most, the 10,000 Spirit Saint, had suffered repeated setbacks under the other party's Supreme God-level defensive methods. During this period of time, one of the Lord talents he relied on the most, the 10,000 Spirit Saint, had suffered repeated setbacks under the other party's Supreme God-level defensive methods, even though he did not need the 10,000 Spirit Saint to win. All the battles he had experienced recently, however, in the past, with a wave of his hand, half of the opposing soldiers had surrendered. The war that should have lasted for a long time had instantly obtained more than an 80% chance of winning. For example, today's war, if he had the 10,000 Spirit Saint at the Supreme God level, why would he care about the 1,000? Capital Units Army, 2 billion God Spirits, 300,000 True God Tiers, and more than 1,000 Master Gods? 10,000 Spirit Saint and half of the soldiers and God Spirits were his, plus the Supreme God of the Heavenly Blade Puppet and the Supreme Divine Artifact in his hands. It could be said that the war had just begun, but it had already ended. How could they fight for so long like now? /F** King Insta killed him. Most importantly, the Supreme Level 10,000 Spirit Saint could be used on the ultimate Void battlefield. Moreover, there was no lack of Supreme God Spirits and Supreme God forces in the ultimate Void battleground. When the time comes, if he unleashed the 10,000 Spirit Saint, he might even be able to induce Insight Defection to become a Supreme God-level subordinate. Even if he could only incite defection one Supreme God Spirit, he had already made a killing. Then how could he still go to the ultimate Void battleground to accept the test? He was going to the ultimate Void battleground to stock up. At this thought, Zhou Zhou no longer hesitated and said, Lord Supreme Will, I want to upgrade my 10,000 Spirit Saint to the Supreme Unique Lord Talent. Sure. The Supreme I did not say anything. A pure white beam of light flew out of the Supreme Eye and descended in front of Zhou Zhou through space-time, fusing into his divine body. This is the Supreme Will's source power? It's amazing. Zhou Zhou felt the gentle yet domineering feeling in his body, and a strange look flashed across his eyes. There were countless paths that could be taken by lords if the path that Zhou Zhou took was the supreme path of ruling everything. The power of the Supreme Will gave Zhou Zhou the feeling that greatest virtue is like water, nurturing all things without competing with them. No one in the world can compete with a man who doesn't compete. What incredible power! Zhou Zhou muttered to himself. This was a power that was the complete opposite of his control. However, from this completely opposite point of view, it inexplicably matched the core of the Lord's law. Control. He ruled as he was invincible. As for the Supreme Will, it controlled him to be invincible. The Supreme Will has never fought for anything. He only released the target of the Lord of all races, but he made all the life forms of the myriad races in the world obey him. And the Supreme Will is sitting on the fence. Wait quietly for the heir he wants to appear. Isn't this also a manifestation of the path of the Supreme Will? Zhou Zhou muttered to himself. Then he stopped thinking about it. The path of the Supreme Will was indeed not bad. However, he was not bad either. Moreover, in terms of the variety of methods, his path as a lord was even better. He shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He quietly felt the improvement of his supreme unique lord talent. He could feel that after the third supreme unique lord talent was augmented on him, his lord talent had increased again. Even the cultivation progress of the supreme sacred body had increased greatly. The more Zhou Zhou felt, the more satisfied he was. That a moment later, the supreme unique lord talent had completed its transformation. Zhou Zhou looked at the latest information on the 10,000 Spirit Saints Lord Talent. Lord Talent notification, your mythical tier. Unique Lord Talent has been personally blessed by the Supreme Will and advanced to the Supreme Unique Lord Talent. Son of Destiny, Supreme, Unique, Specific Talent Effect 1. You are the Son of Destiny favored by the providence of the myriad worlds. Only then will the people of the heavens gather by your side and help you achieve a supreme undertaking. Specific Talent Effect 2. Active. When you fight the enemy faction head-on, as long as the enemy faction is at the Supreme God level or below, you can activate the Son of Destiny talent. Under the Son of Destiny Lord talent, 50% of the enemies in the enemy faction will be summoned by the heavens and take the initiative to become your loyal subordinate. Passive. You can even subdue all the living beings in the myriad worlds without any other methods with your own reputation and make these life forms take the initiative to submit to you. Lord Talent Notification 1. The minimum number of enemies summoned by the heavens is 1 unit of enemies, and the maximum number is unlimited. Lord Talent Notification 2. You can activate the Son of Destiny Lord Talent on any level and number of opposing factions. You can induce Insight Defection to the highest level. Lord Talent Notification 3. The active effect of this talent can only be activated once a day. Passive effect has no frequency limit. Lord Talent Notification 4. Enemies affected by the Son of Destiny have a minimum basic loyalty of 99 points and will never betray you. Lord Talent Notification 5. This talent cannot be used twice against the same enemy faction. A smile appeared on Zhou Zhou's face after reading it. The 10,000 Spirit Saint had advanced to the Son of Destiny. This name sounded very scary. However, the content of the talent was not much different. It was fine as long as one thing worked. As long as the enemy faction is at the Supreme God level or below, I can activate the Son of Destiny talent and induce 50% of the enemies in the enemy lord's faction to become my loyal subordinates. Moreover, I can induce them to become Supreme God level powerhouses. This is what I want. Zhou Zhou was overjoyed. In the future, he should not lack Supreme God-level powerhouses. Thank you, Lord Supreme Will. After he came back to his senses, he immediately said respectfully to the high and mighty Supreme I, "It's a piece of cake. Get ready to go to the ultimate void battleground." The Supreme I did not say anything else. Its gaze landed on Origin and Di Huang. Lord Supreme I. Origin and Di Huang's bodies trembled, and they immediately knelt on the ground in fear. "You disappoint me." The Supreme I said calmly. "Lord Supreme I, we We're just worried about the future of our race." Origin said with a pained expression, "Lord Supreme, I was bewitched by the heaven-cursed beast. Otherwise, how could I have the guts to attack your Lord of all races reserve army?" Di Huang shouted. "Oh, are you speaking from the bottom of your hearts?" "The Supreme," I said calmly. He looked down at the strongest leaders of these two top-notch bloodline races with a calm and deep gaze. Under the gaze of the Supreme the two god spirits felt as if all the secrets in their hearts had been seen through. No lie could escape this Lord's eyes. The two god spirits had a premonition that if the two of them dared to lie next, once they were discovered, the punishment the two god spirits faced would definitely far exceed their imagination. After Origin hesitated in pain for a moment, he suddenly seemed to have lost all his strength and whispered, "Your Excellency, I'm indeed worried that after Your Excellency Common People's Regal becomes the Supreme Lord in the future, he will settle the scores. That's why I risked the world's condemnation to attack your Lord of all races reserve. But other than that, I'm too eager to become a Supreme God, too eager to obtain the position of the Lord of all races reserve." Coupled with the urging of the heaven-cursed beast from the side, my rationality was blinded by the greed and impulsiveness in my heart. The above reason is also one of the reasons why I did these things. Di Huang trembled when he heard this. Then, he said bitterly, "I am the same." Zhou Zhou clicked his tongue when he saw this. These two god spirits were not too stupid as expected of a direct subordinate of the Supreme. Well, they was still self-aware and straightforward in admitting their mistake. After Supreme I heard the two god spirits' words, it did not reply immediately. Instead, it looked at them calmly in this suffocating atmosphere. After a long time, the Supreme will said coldly, "You should be glad that you're not lying. Otherwise, you would definitely not have lived until now." As soon as these words were spoken, Origin and Di Huang were immediately shocked. However, the two god spirits relaxed a little. Since the Supreme will had said so, there must be a way to turn things around. As expected, the Supreme will said again, "On account that even though you took the wrong path, you didn't make a huge mistake, I can spare you. But in addition to my forgiveness, you also need the forgiveness of another person to truly live." Zhou Zhou. The Supreme I looked at Zhou fight and said, "You will decide how they and the three races are punished. Don't worry about what I think. They're just three top-notch bloodline races. If they perish, so be it. I can easily recreate them if I want to." Origin and Di Huang immediately looked at Zhou fight nervously. On the surface, the heaven-cursed beast looked indifferent. Zhou Zhou saw this scene from Zhou Zhou's point of view and could not help but fall into deep thought. Since the Supreme Will had said so, there was definitely no detour. It really wanted me to deal with Origin, Di Huang, and the races behind them. With the Supreme Will's strength and status, if it had other thoughts, it could just say it after all. There was no need to do this. He thought for 2 to 3 seconds before making a decision. "Lord Supreme Will, I've decided to let go of the original spirit race, Shepherd's God race, and Chaos God Spirit's race behind Origin and Di Huang. As for the heaven-cursed beast, I think I'll leave it to you to deal with them." But when Origin and Di Huang heard Zhou Zhou's first words, they were immediately overjoyed. However, after hearing the "but" behind, they immediately became nervous. Zhou Fight looked at them coldly and said, "I can exempt you from the death penalty, but I won't let you off. First of all, I want to ask the three races for compensation for this assassination. The three races want to hand over 90% of their assets and treasures to me. They can only leave 10% of their resources and treasures to maintain the basic operations of the race. Secondly, I want to reduce the original spirit race, the Shepherd's God race, and the Chaos God Spirits race from top to bottom to the slave race of the human race. They have to be unconditionally and wholeheartedly loyal to us humans as slaves for 1,000,000 years before they can remove their slave race status and regain their freedom. Lastly, Origin and Di Huang. As the main culprits of this rebellion, I want you to commit suicide in front of me and use the zombie Dao secret technique to reincarnate into zombie god spirits to serve me." With that, Zhou Fight looked at Origin and Di Huang quietly. "These are my three conditions. Aren't you willing?" "We're willing." Origin and Di Huang knelt down in ecstasy and immediately said, "Yes." This lord of all races of the reserve army did not seek to destroy their souls and never reincarnate, nor did he cut off their divine spirit realm. He only made two requests that the defeated should have done in the first place. How could they not be happy? Money and treasures could be accumulated again after all. Even though it was embarrassing to be a slave, it was fine as long as they did not lose their lives and strength. Moreover, this was only being a slave for a limited period. While 100 million years sounded like a long time, God spirits, even low-tier deity-level elementary-grade God spirits, had eternal lifespans. It would eventually pass if they endured it. As for becoming zombie God spirits, even though it was a little miserable and there was no possibility of further advancement, they could not care about anything else as long as they were still alive. From the looks of it, the request made by the Lord of all races was already the best outcome for them. At the thought of this, Origin and Di Huang were even grateful to the Lord of all races. Thank you, Lord of all races Reserve Army. Thank you, Lord of all races Reserve Army. The two God spirits were extremely grateful. They would never have dreamed that they would only receive a light punishment even though they had done such a treasonous thing. This was just like when the ministers besieged the crown prince. But in the end, the crown prince was saved. After the matter was settled, the ministers who besieged him only received the punishment of executing the chief villain, confiscating his family, and becoming a slave instead of having his entire family executed. This was just like when the ministers besieged the crown prince, but in the end, the crown prince was saved. After the matter was settled, the ministers who besieged him only received the punishment of executing the chief villain, confiscating his family, and becoming a slave instead of having his entire family executed. Zhou Zhou looked at them coldly. The reason for the light punishment was simple. He had already regarded the living beings of the myriad races in the world as his future subjects as a reserve army of the Lord of all races. It would be awesome if he were to let his thoughts run wild and annihilate the three races from top to bottom. However, from a long-term perspective, once he really became an official Lord of all races in the future, it would actually weaken his strength, since the idea to kill him was jointly proposed by the heaven-cursed beast, Origin, and Di Huang. In that case, he just had to kill the chief villain. There was no need to exterminate the other three clans. They would be his soldiers in the future after all. As for why Zhou Zhou ignored the heaven-cursed beast, it was mainly because this heaven-cursed beast was a little strange. Even the current Zhou Zhou could not see through this fellow's confidence. Even when Zhou Zhou asked the Bodhi Supreme privately, the Bodhi Supreme did not know anything. This really shocked Zhou Zhou. In the myriad worlds, there were very few things that even the Bodhi Supreme did not know. So far, Zhou Zhou only found something about Bodhi Supreme that he didn't understand on the incomplete illusionary legendary tier sage seal. And now, the heaven-cursed beast was the second. Zhou Zhou had always rejected such a mysterious existence. Therefore, he did not do anything to the heaven-cursed beast. Instead, he was handed over to the Supreme to deal with. Oh yes. Give me the ownership of your 10 sacred blessings, Lord Talent. Zhou Fight suddenly said. Yes, Your Excellency. Origin and Di Huang did not dare to ask further. They saw an epic tier advanced grade female original spirit race member and an epic tier intermediate grade shepherd's god race member appear in front of Zhou Fight with a thought. They saw Zhou Fight take a look at them before the two losers could figure out what had happened. Then, they stopped breathing and fell to the ground, sleeping peacefully. Zhou Fight did not care that there were other god spirits watching. He extracted all the loots in their bodies with a light hook of his right hand. In the end, he obtained a total of 2 mythical tier 1 Lord Talent spheres and 42 mythical tier 1 Lord Talent crystal fragments. The other loots were not worth mentioning. Zhou Zhou looked at the 2 mythical tier 1 Lord Talent spheres. Treasure name: Lord Talent Sphere, protection of the origin of the original Master God. Treasure grade: mythical tier, unique. Treasure effect: after absorbing it, the Lord will have the protection of the mythical tier's only Lord Talent, original Master God. Treasure description: a Lord Talent sphere from an original spirit race citizen. After absorbing it, you can obtain a mythical tier unique Lord Talent. Treasure name: Lord Talent Sphere, King of all gods, Di Huang's protection. Treasure grade. Mythical tier. Unique. Treasure effect. After absorbing it, the feudal lord will have mythical, tiers 1 and only lord talent. King of all gods, Di Huang's protection. Treasure description, a lord talent sphere from the shepherd's god race. After absorbing it, you can obtain a mythical tier unique lord talent. When Zhou Fight saw the 2 lord talent spheres, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly out of the 10 sacred blessings lord talent he had already obtained. 8. There were only 2 more 10 sacred blessings lord talents left, and he would be able to gather all of them. One of them was on the heaven-cursed beast. The other 10 sacred blessings lord talent came from the god of death, Thanatos. It was easy to find out its whereabouts. He could just ask Bodhi Supreme later. Still, now that the Yellow River has fallen and the netherworld is adjacent to the Yellow River, I hope nothing happens. Zhou Zhou frowned slightly. Then, he looked at the heaven-cursed beast through Zhou Fight's perspective. Heaven-cursed beast. Should I let you hand it over personally, or let me find it myself? You should know that if I were to find it myself, it would only take some time at most. Zhou Fight said coldly. The heaven-cursed beast was silent. Suddenly, an epic tier advance grade by Zay appeared in front of the heaven-cursed beast. Ancestor. The heaven-cursed beast was a little dazed. In the next second, he was killed by Zhou Zhou's willpower, and then the spoils of war in his body were taken away out of thin air, including the chaotic beast god, the heaven-cursed beast's 10 sacred blessings lord talent. Very good. After Zhou Fight checked and found that there was no problem, he could not help but smile. It was not far from the day when all the lord talents of the 10 sacred blessings were gathered. Then, he didn't immediately absorb the 3 mythical tier, unique lord talents. Instead, he turned around and respectfully said to the Supreme Eye in the sky, Lord Supreme Will, I'm done here. As for the rest, Lord Supreme will make the final judgment. When Supreme Eye heard this, its gaze landed on Origin and Di Huang first. Then, it slowly said, since the Lord of all races reserve army spares your lives, your punishment will follow his decision and won't interfere. Only then did Origin and Di Huang heave a sigh of relief. They said gratefully, thank you, Supreme Will. Then, they bowed solemnly to Zhou Fight. Thank you, Lord of all races, for your kindness. Origin/Di Huang will never forget it. Zhou Fight nodded lightly. When the Supreme Will saw this, its gaze finally landed on the heaven-cursed beast that had been neglected. The heaven-cursed beast's body suddenly trembled. Then, the Supreme Eye said coldly in a voice that only Zhou Zhou could understand, Heaven-cursed beast. I didn't expect you to still be so dishonest after I brought you from the illusionary great cosmos to the real great cosmos for so many years. Zhou Zhou's pupils constricted when he heard the Supreme Will's words. Real great cosmos? Illusionary great cosmos? And this heaven-cursed beast was personally brought over from the illusionary great cosmos by the Supreme Will. Could the Supreme Will not come from them, but from the illusionary great cosmos? However, how did the existence of the illusionary great cosmos come here legitimately and become a supreme existence like the Supreme Will? Wasn't the Supreme Will the daughter of the Chaos Will at this moment? Even though Zhou Zhou was quick-witted and had developed his mind, he was still a little stunned by this news. This short sentence contained too much terrifying content. I followed you to the real great cosmos to pursue freedom and happiness. I'm not like a criminal who is imprisoned in this ghost-like place every day and never sees the light of day. The heaven-cursed beast said viciously. You took the initiative to follow me. Who can you blame? If not for the fact that we're from the same place, I would have killed you long ago. The Supreme Will said calmly. You might as well just kill me. The heaven-cursed beast roared. Oh, so why don't you get to know yourself? The Supreme Will said disdainfully. Isn't it because I can't bear to part with your little life? You speak so fearlessly, as if you're not afraid of death. The heaven-cursed beast stopped talking. Zhou Zhou was deep in thought that it seemed that even though this heaven-cursed beast had been courting death, he was indeed afraid of death. However, why would he do such a contradictory thing? Was he trying to use such a contradictory move to attract the attention of the Supreme Will so that he could achieve his goal? He suddenly saw the Supreme Eye turn its gaze back to him. Common people's regal. The Supreme I said, Lord Supreme Will. Zhou Fight said respectfully, you should already know about my conversation with the Heaven Curse Beast. I believe you should have some guesses in your heart, but you don't have to seek answers from me because with your strength you don't have the right to know the answers to these questions for the time being. When you're strong enough, such as becoming a true lord of all races or reaching the Supreme Will realm, I'll naturally tell you everything. However, before that, don't ask or say anything. Keep everything you heard today to yourself. Don't tell anyone. As for them, the Supreme, I looked at the confused Origin and Di Huang and said calmly, what we're seeing now is just an illusion I created. They don't know anything yet. Yes, Lord Supreme Will. I will definitely keep my mouth shut and not reveal anything I heard today. Zhou Fight said without hesitation. The Supreme Will nodded and said, regarding the Heaven Curse Beast, I will personally lock him up. I will definitely not let him affect your future. Go to the ultimate void battleground after you've received everything from the three races. This was already the second time the Supreme Will had mentioned this. Leave these matters to my other clones. I will immediately bring the god spirits to the ultimate void battlefield. Zhou Fight immediately said. The Supreme Will grunted in satisfaction again. Then, Zhou Fight saw the Supreme Eye that emitted endless pure white light disappear from the Chaos Sea. Zhou Fight heaved a sigh of relief. While this was not the first time he had seen this Supreme Eye that represented the Supreme Will, but he would feel an extremely terrifying and oppressive pressure every time. Willpower level powerhouses with willpower were really terrifying. He muttered inwardly, then he turned to look at the place where the Heaven Curse Beast was as expected. The Heaven Curse Beast had already disappeared. Clearly, it had been taken away by the Supreme Will. Seeing this, Zhou Fight felt even more relaxed. The most unstable bomb was finally far away from him. He could really head to the ultimate void battleground without any worries. He looked at Origin and Di Huang again, when his gaze landed on the two top-notch master gods. The two divine bodies immediately trembled and hurriedly lowered their heads in fear. Zhou Fight clicked his tongue in wonder. After this incident, at this moment, in their hearts, his deterrence was probably already comparable to a supreme god or even a willpower level existence. He didn't think much of it. He looked at him with a faint smile and said, the Heaven Curse Beast has been taken away by the Supreme Will and is personally punished by him. On the other hand, when are you two going to commit suicide and reincarnate as zombie god spirits? You're not going back on your word, are you? How dare we? Origin and Di Huang were shocked and immediately said, we'll do as you say now. The two god spirits looked at each other and took a deep breath, directly causing the divine spark in their minds to explode. The divine spark was the source of life energy for the god spirits. Even their souls resided in the divine spark. It could be said to be related to everything the god spirits had. Origin and Di Huang almost died on the spot as soon as the divine spark shattered. Nonetheless, it was only almost as top master gods. Even if their divine sparks exploded, they could still survive for a while longer before they died. Then, they could take advantage of this time to do something they wanted to do. For example, transform into a zombie god spirit. They formed hand seals with both hands and chanted spells at the same time, silently. A dark purple netherworld aura appeared behind them and vaguely condensed into a scene of the supreme netherworld. That it was because the netherworld had sensed the death of two top master gods and was prepared to receive the aura of death that was bomb when they died and bring it to the netherworld. This could strengthen the foundation of the netherworld. That it could also prevent these master god tier level death auras from wreaking havoc in the myriad worlds without external guidance and control. However, at this moment, Origin and Di Huang's zombie god spirit's reincarnation law skill had already taken effect. An extremely strong suction force suddenly appeared in the bodies of the two deities. That as soon as this suction force appeared, it instantly forcefully gathered the divine power, soul power, willpower, nomological power, death aura, and other powers that erupted from the destruction of the divine spark into this already dead corpse. Since these powerful master god tier powers were forcefully gathered together, coupled with the influence of the zombie god spirit's reincarnation law skill, they began to quickly transform their corpses. At this rate, It would not take 100 years for these two top-notch master gods to complete the transformation and become top-notch zombie god spirits. In terms of combat strength, they even surpassed themselves when they were alive. The only disadvantage was that he could not continue to advance. However, Zhou Fight frowned slightly when he saw this. Who would have the time to wait for him to undergo 100 years of transformation? He calmly waved his hand and set up a time acceleration domain and a zombie god spirit's reincarnation domain around the two god spirits. With the support of these two top-notch nomological domains, the two god spirits spent more than 20 years in the domain in just a minute. They successfully completed the reincarnation process of the zombie god spirits and became two official zombie god spirits. Seeing this, Zhou Fight withdrew his domain. Soon, Origin and Di Huang, who had become zombie god spirits, woke up one after another. The two of them were not surprised when they saw the unchanged Zhou Fight and the unchanged environment in front of them. They immediately bowed and said respectfully before they could sense the changes in their bodies. Origin/D. Huang greets Master. Since they were the leaders of the slave races, there was nothing wrong with calling Zhou Zhou Master. Zhou Fight nodded slightly with a faint smile on his face. These two fellows entered into their roles very quickly. However, he quickly shook his head. Just address me as Emperor like everyone else. All right, feel your bodies and adapt to your new divine bodies. Origin and Di Huang nodded and began to feel their zombie god spirits. Then, bitter smiles appeared on the two god spirits' faces. They could feel that their divine bodies were extremely pure. What did this mean? There was no power of laws, no power of the soul, no power of will, and not even divine power in their bodies. They couldn't even do the most basic and simple thing for god spirits. Even their thoughts were not their soul's thoughts, but the thoughts of this dead body based on its powerful physical instincts. All they had now were their own pure and powerful corpses. These corpses were even stronger than the heaven-cursed divine body of the heaven-cursed beast that was previously known as the #1 divine body. If they were to evaluate their current combat power, they could guarantee that even if they could use the power of laws, the power of the soul, the power of will, divine power, and even the power of external objects when they were alive. However, when all these powers were added together, they were still inferior to their current selves. They could now hammer themselves when they were alive. Even so, they still could not be happy. In fact, there was a faint sense of sorrow in their hearts. Zombie god spirits, Tio put it nicely. They had jumped out of the world and was not in the myriad laws that Tio put it bluntly. In the eyes of other god spirits, other than being unbelievably powerful, they were almost no different from dead things. But at least we still exist, don't we? They comforted themselves in their hearts. Then, he said respectfully to Zhou Fight, Your Majesty, right now, we feel that our corporeal bodies are unprecedentedly powerful. They are even stronger than the heaven-cursed beast, who is known as the #1 corporeal body among master god tiers. However, apart from our physical bodies, we are unable to use any other methods. This is good. Follow this emperor in the future. However, you have to return to your clans now and collect the resources in your clans as soon as possible and send them to this emperor according to this emperor's previous request. Do you understand? Zhou Fight said calmly. Yes, Your Majesty. The two god spirits said respectfully. Zhou Fight nodded and said to Origin, Origin, just now, the Supreme will give this emperor another 2 million god spirits, 100,000 true god tiers, and 100 supremacies a spot in the ultimate void battlefield. You will still be in charge of selecting and contacting these god spirits. In a day, this emperor will see them appear on the ultimate void battlefield. Yes, Your Majesty. Origin was envious, but he said respectfully on the surface, Zhou. Fight nodded and called by Yun, Feng Luo, Ing Ning, and Ing Ning's father, Haze of Chaos. Over. Soon, the 4 god spirits flew over. Greetings, Your Majesty. The 4 god spirits said respectfully. Zhou Fight looked at Bai Yun first. Bai Yun, prepare yourself. In a while, Lead the candidates of the gods who have been prepared to head to the ultimate void battleground. Prepare to follow this emperor. To the ultimate void battleground. Your Majesty, are you in such a hurry? Bai Yun was stunned. The war on their side had just ended, and the battlefield had yet to be cleaned up. The Supreme will has already urged us twice. If we don't hurry up, we won't be giving the Supreme will any face. Besides, that Lord of 10,000 evils is probably waiting for us to head to the ultimate void battlefield. He is probably already waiting for us. We can't let him down. Zhou Fight said with a faint smile, a reserve army of the Lord. Of all races, he really wanted to meet this Lord of 10,000 evils. Understood, Your Majesty. I will prepare it immediately. Bai Yun also realized the severity of the matter. She did not expect the Supreme will to personally urge her. This matter could not be delayed any longer. Go on. Zhou Fight nodded. Bai Yun bowed respectfully before turning around to gather the god spirits. Feng Luo. Seeing Bai Yun leave, Zhou Fight's gaze fell on Feng Luo. I'm here. Feng Luo said respectfully. At this moment, Feng Luo seemed to have returned to his original state after receiving the supreme god of the heavenly blade's inheritance. He did not look sharp at all. Those who did not know would never have thought that this was a fierce man who had become a master god tier with the path of the saber. Zhou Fight thought of the quiet supreme god of the heavenly blade puppet looking at Feng Luo. The temperament of the two gods actually overlapped at this moment. It seems that you are getting along well with the inheritance of the supreme god of the heavenly blade. Zhou Fight said with a faint smile. Thank you for your gift, Your Majesty. The inheritance of the supreme god of the heavenly blade is indeed very compatible with me. The night I received the inheritance of the supreme god of the heavenly blade, I had already begun to understand the basics. Feng Luo said. Zhou Fight clicked his tongue in wonder. Ying Ning and Haze of Chaos were envious. That was the inheritance of a supreme god, and it was the inheritance of a top supreme god. Who wouldn't be envious? Even at the peak of the chaos human race, such legacies were extremely rare. Almost only the patriarch and the highest elder had the qualifications to come into contact with them. Not bad. Zhou Fight first praised before saying, this emperor and Bai Yi will head to the ultimate void battleground in a while. In the future, the Blazing Sun Army will be temporarily handed over to you to manage. When we fight in the ultimate void battleground, don't stop conquering. This emperor hopes that when we return, the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom will already be an advanced grade Divine Kingdom. Don't disappoint this emperor and Bai Yun. I won't let you down. Feng Luo said solemnly. His Majesty was willing to hand over such a huge responsibility to him. Just how much trust did he have in him? He must not let His Majesty down. Otherwise, even if he died to atone for his sins, his death would not be worth pitying. Zhou Fight nodded. He was naturally at ease. Even if he went to the ultimate void battleground, the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom still had other clones and main bodies holding down the fort after all, with them around. Nothing major would naturally happen. He had only said those words to give Feng Luo some motivation. He admired he quite a bit and had the intention of nurturing him after all. Finally, Zhou Fight's gaze landed on Ying Ning and Haze of Chaos. Ying Ning, Haze of Chaos. Zhou Fight said, now that the Chaos Beast clan has completely declined, the Chaos Sea has completely fallen into my hands. In the future, this place should be used as the hometown of the Chaos humans. You'll continue to run this place. I hope that after you return to the Chaos Sea, you can restore the glory of the Chaos humans at their peak. Your Majesty, you're really the savior of our Chaos human race. When Haze of Chaos heard Zhou Fight's words, he could not help but burst into tears. As the former patriarch of the Chaos humans, Haze of Chaos's lifelong wish was to defeat the Chaos Beasts and lead the Chaos humans back to the Chaos Sea, returning to their hometown that they had missed for a long time. Even though the Chaos Patriarch had become Zhou Zhou, his wish had not changed. Now that he had finally realized his wish, how could he not be happy and excited? Zhou Zhou did not say anything to a Chaos human. He could understand his feelings. A moment later, Bai Yun led 2 million god spirits, 100,000 true god tiers, and 100 exalt gods to him. Among them, the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom only had 50 million god spirits, 10,000 true god tiers, and 10 supremacies. The remaining god spirits were god spirits from the people of foreign races gathered by the Origin. Origin and Di Huang were among them. Many of these people of foreign race god spirits had already died in the previous battle. However, they had already been revived by the clergymen of the Life Ark and the Resurrection Altar after becoming citizens of the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. Most of their expressions were a little strange, that it was no wonder too. Who would have thought that? The enemies who were fighting to the death just now would become comrades who were going to the dangerous battlefield together in the blink of an eye after all. The truth was so unpredictable at the same time. Seeing that all the god spirits had arrived, Zhou Fight did not immediately head to the ultimate void battleground. He first looked around before revealing a satisfied smile. Surrounding these god spirits were 10 master god-tier advanced grade battleships. Among these battleships, other than the Eternal Mothership, the other 9 master god-tier advanced grade battleships were provided by the original spirit race, the Shepherd's God race, and the Chaos God's race. These 3 races had already become Zhou Zhou's slave race after all. Under his command, it was naturally not a problem for they to take out 9 master god-tier advanced grade cosmic battleships to support him on this trip to the ultimate void battlefield. However, even the 3 races did not have many warships of this level. 9 ships were already the result of them doing their best. Apart from warships, cultivation resources, healing resources, combat resources, food resources, and other war resources were also prepared. They even brought the entire Life Ark over and temporarily placed it in the internal world of the Eternal Mothership, even though there was not a single clergyman inside the Resurrection Altar. Inside was enough to satisfy the resurrection requirements of the ultimate void battlefield. He didn't have many subordinates this time after all. It was enough to use the Resurrection Altar. Then, Zhou Fight gave Feng Luo a few more instructions and did not say anything else. He directly opened the Lord interface, opened the ultimate void battlefield function, and clicked on the teleportation. Swoosh! A void vortex that emitted a dark purple light appeared out of thin air in the Chaos Sea. Zhou Fight and all the god spirits flew into it without hesitation and disappeared. Zhou Marshall and the other clones looked expectant when they saw this scene not far away. It's all up to you this time, the main battle avatar. They muttered to themselves, continue to clean up the battlefield and calculate the battle reports. Then, return to the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom. Zhou Marshall ordered the soldiers and god spirits. Yes, in the endless void, Zhou Fight, the god spirits, and 10 master god-tier advanced grade cosmic battleships were here. Where am I? Zhou Fight was amazed. Reporting to your majesty. Origin walked over and said respectfully, we're currently in the void teleportation. The void we're in looks motionless, but it's actually in the process of continuous cross-border teleportation. However, because the teleportation form and method are very stable, it looks like a stable void space. Normally speaking, we need more than an hour to leave the supreme great cosmos and descend into the ultimate void battlefield. More than an hour. Zhou Fight was surprised. This teleportation method was personally created by the Supreme Will, but even the Supreme Will needed more than an hour to send them to the ultimate void battlefield. It seemed that just as the other party had said, even he could not send too many troops to the ultimate void battlefield at once. Do you know Lord of 10,000 Evils and the 1,000 Evil Army? Zhou Fight asked. Reporting to your majesty, I do know a little. This is because I've participated in the war with the ultimate void creatures 3 times in the past. During this period, I've cooperated with the 1,000 Evils army and chatted with Lord of 10,000 Evils a few times. Origin said, me too. Di Huang was not to be outdone. Let's talk about them. Zhou Fight was interested. Even though Lord of 10,000 Evils is the reserve army of the Lord of all races in the name of Demon Lord, the other party is actually a kind and lawful god spirit. Origin's first sentence shocked Zhou Fight. Lord of 10,000 Evils was actually a god spirit from the kind and lawful faction. Origin also saw his lord's expression. He explained with a smile, Your Majesty, the reason why the Lord of 10,000 Evils has such a title is because the other party walks the path of a lord. It's the path of sealing thousands of demons and turning them into his own. He rose to power when he was weak. Along the way, almost everything he did was to seal evil demons. It was also because of this that he had accumulated almost a sea of evil subordinates. It's precisely because of this that he has the title of Lord of 10,000 Evils. It's also because of his experience of sealing demons and vanquishing evil that this divine being is a completely good person. At least it's better than the other two Lord of all races reserve armies. Origin deliberated for a moment and said, as for his evil army, the most important combat soldier type is naturally the supreme soldier type, the ultimate evil spirit that he is famous for. The ultimate evil spirits under him are extremely good at mental and willpower attacks. At the same level, even other supreme soldier types will accidentally fall into the trap of these ultimate evil spirits. Besides these two methods, their other methods are extremely varied and strange. Your Majesty, you have to be on guard when the time comes. Even though Lord of 10,000 Evils is a kind supreme god of the Order faction, however, His Majesty and him are competitors after all. In the face of the temptation of the position of Lord of all races, even a god spirit like he might have evil thoughts and degenerate into the true Lord of 10,000 Evils. His Majesty has to be wary, Origin said with a solemn expression. Zhou Fight nodded. Then, he chatted with the Origin for a while, gaining a deeper understanding of Lord of 10,000 Evils and the ultimate void battlefield at the same time in the Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom.in the Divine Kingdom world. In the Reincarnation Sacred Palace, Zhou Zhou, who was sitting cross-legged on the mat, was deep in thought. I didn't expect Lord of 10,000 Evils to be such a god spirit. I thought he was some heinous Lord of all races reserve army. He shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Then, he flipped his right hand, and 3 Lord Talent Spheres appeared in his palm. It was the 10 Sacred Blessings Lord Talent Sphere from the 3 top Master Gods. Let's see how these 10 Sacred Blessings Lord Talents are. Zhou Zhou smiled and took the lead to absorb the Heaven-Cursed Beast's 10 Sacred Blessings Lord Talent Sphere. Then, the Chaotic Beast God, the Heaven-Cursed Beast's 10 Sacred Blessings Lord Talent information appeared in front of him. 10 Sacred Blessings. Chaotic Beast God Heaven-Cursed Beast's Protection. Specific Talent Effect 1. Heaven-Cursed Beast's Supreme Blessing. The Chaotic Beast God, one of the 10 chief gods under the Supreme Will, has performed the Supreme Blessing on you and your subjects. The physical defense of you and your subjects has greatly increased. Specific Talent Effect 2. Chaos Talent. You and your subjects have the lowest mid-level cultivation talent for any law path, excluding the Lord's Law. Specific Talent. Effect 3. Chaos Body. You and your subjects can ignore any physical and soul attacks that are a major level lower than your strength. Specific Talent Effect 4. Chaos Blessing. The beast life forms in your territory have a chance to awaken the Chaos God's race bloodline and become the orthodox descendants of the Chaos God's race. These awakened Chaos God's bloodline descendants will be loyal to you and will never betray you. When these beast life forms who have awakened the Chaos God's race bloodline become god spirits, the Chaos God's race bloodline in their bodies will officially transform into the innate Chaos God's race bloodline and become a true Chaos God's race. Specific Talent Effect 5. Master God's Protection. The development process of your Lord's faction will not be hindered by other Master God level powerhouses. The Chaotic Beast God, Heaven-Cursed Beast will secretly protect you and your Lord's faction, stopping or killing any Master God level powerhouses who dare to come and have malicious intentions. Note: for unknown reasons, the effect of this talent is temporarily ineffective. Specific Talent Effect 6. Protector of the Divine Kingdom. When your Lord faction advances to the beginner-level Divine Kingdom Lord faction, the Chaotic Beast God, Heaven-Cursed Beast will automatically join your Lord faction and become a worshipped Master God loyal to you. However, you have to promise the other party that you will help the Chaotic Beast God, Heaven-Cursed Beast advance to the Supreme God level in the future. Note: for unknown reasons, The effect of this talent is temporarily ineffective. This Lord talent is average, right? Zhou Zhou stroked his chin and thought to himself. However, as most of the effects of the Lord talent were prepared for battle, this Lord talent was quite practical. In particular, the third effect of the Lord talent, Chaos Body, gave the subjects under him the ability to ignore the attacks of weak enemies. This effect would be very useful on the battlefield. The third talent effect, Chaos Blessing, was also very interesting. With this talent effect, his territory would gradually give birth to a large number of Chaos God's race subjects under the effects of time. The Chaos God's race was one of the 3 top bloodline races. The addition of such a subject to his subjects would only be beneficial to his future. There wouldn't be any disadvantages. Zhou Zhou was quite satisfied with this Lord talent after reading it. Then he took out and absorbed the King of all gods, Di Huang's 10 Sacred Blessings Lord talent. Soon, the Lord talent information appeared in front of him, one by one. 10 Sacred Blessings. King of all gods, Di Huang's protection, specific. Talent effect 1. The Supreme Blessing of the Heavenly Emperor. One of the 10 chief gods under the Supreme Will, the King of all gods, Di Huang, has performed the Supreme Blessing on you and your subjects. You and your subjects have extremely high talent in law skill cultivation. You can begin to comprehend and master law skills when you are at the extraordinary tier level. Specific talent effect 2, Boundless Magic Power, the maximum magic. Power/divine power reserves in your body and the subjects under you have increased by 100%. Specific talent effect 3, Law follows the heart. You and your subjects, the effect of active abilities such as skill effect/talent effect/law skill effect increases by 100%. Specific talent effect 4, Supreme Di Huang. When you and your subjects comprehend laws, there is a 1% chance of comprehending a Lord's law path that suits you. Specific talent effect 5, Master God's protection. The development process of you and your Lord's faction will not be obstructed by other Master God level powerhouses. The first venerable of the primordial dragon will secretly protect you and your Lord's faction and stop or kill all the Master God level powerhouses who dare to come and have ill intentions. Specific talent effect 6, Protector of the Divine Kingdom. When your Lord faction advances to the beginner level Divine Kingdom, the Light God Halu will automatically join your Lord faction and become a worshipped Master God loyal to you. However, you have to promise him that you will help the Light God Halu advance to the Supreme God realm in the future. After reading it, Zhou Zhou's gaze landed on the specific talent effect 4, Supreme Di Huang. It can actually give subjects a 1% chance of comprehending a Lord's nomological path that suits them when they comprehend laws. Then wouldn't it be easier for my subject to give birth to a Khanate Regal? Zhou Zhou was pleasantly surprised. This was a Khanate Regal. There was a chance of becoming a supreme god in the future. With this talent effect, even if the subjects under him did not rely on the supreme god's book of the God Spirit, they still had a chance of becoming supreme gods themselves. Coupled with the effect of specific talent effect 1, Supreme Di Huang Blessing, my subjects might be able to step onto the path of the Lord's law at the extraordinary tier stage. Coupled with the effect of the Supreme Blessing, my subjects might be able to step onto the path of the Lord's law at the extraordinary tier stage. Even he had never achieved such an accomplishment. If his subject could do it, he might be the first person in history. If such a thing really happened, Zhou Zhou would naturally not be jealous. There was no need to be jealous. This was because even if the other party had comprehended the Lord's law skill at the extraordinary tier stage and embarked on the path of the Lord's law, he was ultimately his subject. He wouldn't exceed his control, much less become his enemy after he grew up. He would be absolutely dead loyal to him. So he wasn't worried at all. In addition, it was like a child had done more than his parents. Would his parents be jealous? Most parents wouldn't. They would only be proud of having such a child. Then, his gaze landed on the effects of the 2 Lord talents. The effects of these 2 Lord talents were not bad. While it was far inferior to the effects of the other 2 Lord talents, Zhou Zhou was also very satisfied for helping Di Huang become a supreme god. Zhou Zhou was not too worried. He was indeed unable to help Di Huang. and Origin advance to the Supreme God level. Even if they were given two Supreme Gods Book of the God Spirit, because Origin and Di Huang had already become zombie God Spirits, they could not use the Book of the God Spirit, let alone use the Supreme God's inheritance to advance to the Supreme God level. However, just because Zhou Zhou could not do it now did not mean that he could not do it in the future. Zhou Zhou believed that when he became a Supreme God-level existence, or even a will-level existence, it should be very simple for him to help him become a Supreme God. Therefore, Zhou Zhou was not in a hurry at all. Anyway, there was no time limit for this matter. Then, Zhou Zhou took out and absorbed the last 10 sacred blessings Lord Talent.